On today's show, Sheffield United have had a terrible return to football, whilst Tottenham have completely flipped their pre-pandemic form of 180. Stay tuned as usual for our expert analysis, their form, injury news, predicted lineups and score predictions. Coming up now.
So, it's Sheffield United versus Tottenham Hotspur. I'm Alex. As ever, I'm joined by Gary. This game is taking place at 6 p.m. on Thursday at Bramall Lane. Now, as we dive into the league positions, you can actually see that they're only separated by 1 point. Tottenham have 45, whereas Sheffield United have 44. What they'll both be aiming for is that fifth place position with Wolves, currently sitting on 52 points. Because obviously fifth place, with Manchester City being banned, could potentially be a Champions League spot. Both of them will be wary, though, as only 1 point behind Sheffield United is Arsenal on 43 points. That takes us nicely to the form. Gary, how are Sheffield United doing?
Well, their form is kind of in the toilet right now. They restarted the Premier League with a 0-0 against Aston Villa, which, their goal was disallowed. And then they proceeded to lose 3-0 to Newcastle and 3-0 to Manchester United. And they got knocked out of the cup by Arsenal and lost 2-1. So overall, they've scored 1 goal in 4 games on their return, which is terrible, conceding a bucket load of goals, considering that they were the second best defensive team in the league before the league got suspended. So it's not been good for Sheffield United fans on return.
For Tottenham, it's been a little bit different. I think they couldn't have done any worse than before the break. But since they've come back, they've drawn 1-1 with Manchester United and they beat West Ham 2-0. No FA Cup for them because they were beaten by FA Cup giants Norwich. I wouldn't say they're playing brilliantly, but I think things are starting to look a little bit up for Tottenham.
Right. So now we go into the stats. So what kind of jumps off the page in terms of the stats for Tottenham?
So what's quite interesting for this, we did the Aston Villa Sheffield United preview and the Manchester United Tottenham preview. So we was able to have a look at the stats before football had the break. And what you can see is a complete flip in form. Tottenham have improved statistically, both offensively and defensively, whereas Sheffield United have declined on both offensively and defensively. And I think that's really going to be worrying for Sheffield United fans. I think the main thing that they maybe have lost is some of their organisation defensively. Now, that would have been hindered in O'Connell being out, and he may be back for this game. But I think the thing that speaks volumes is they're 0.5 worse off with shots conceded per game than they were before the break. So they're really going to want to try and bring that down again and become that solid unit defensively that, as you said earlier, led them to being the second best team defensively in the Premier League.
That's what I was concerned with looking at those stats, because before they were scoring 1.1 per game and then they were conceding 0.9 per game before the Premier League got suspended. So now that is a super thin margin, and now on return they're basically scoring as many as they're conceding, but they're nowhere near as effective as they were, and they're losing their games now. And it's difficult for a team that doesn't really hold a lot of the possession. Their possession stats are pretty low at 45%, and the passing accuracy is low relative to like the league average. So they're failing to progress the ball, and if they can't be solid defensively, then they're going the wrong way in terms of the league position.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. They were never a team to score a lot of goals. They will always be very, very strict defensively, concede very few goals, and try and nick goals where they can. And I think when they're not being strong defensively, they're not going to outscore many teams. So big worries for Sheffield United. Let's talk about injuries. Do you want to start off with Sheffield United?
Sheffield United, the workhorse that is Lundstrom, he got a shoulder injury against Arsenal in the FA Cup, so he's likely to miss out this game. O'Connell, who's one of their key defenders, he hasn't been available since the restart, but he was hoping to be ready against Arsenal, but he wasn't in the squad. So hopefully with a couple of days extra, he's able to make the squad in the starting 11 for Tottenham. But other than that, it's pretty good, clean bill of health for Sheffield United.
Yeah, Tottenham have no news, which is always good news. It's just the same 3 injuries that they had prior to the West Ham game, which is Tanganga, Foyth, and Parrott all out.
Right. And let's go into some predicted lineups because this is where it gets a bit tricky.
I think Mourinho has a bit of a problem on his hands now because Alderweireld and Ndombele, who are two first-team players, neither of them have played a single minute of Premier League football since the return. And I think Mourinho will not want to risk unsettling two of his key players. So with that being said, this is what I think the lineup is going to look like. I think Lloris is going to start in goal.
Yep.
I think now he might play a back three because Sheffield United play two up front. What he might be tempted to do is slip Dyer into midfield so he can drop him into defence if he needs to. So with that in mind, I've got Aurier at right back, Alderweireld and Sanchez as the centre backs, and Davis as left back. Now Dyer has come out and said that he wants to play in central defence, but I think he won't mind playing there, as I say, because I think he might drop back into a back three. So I think he might start Dyer and Ndombele. He'll have Dele Alli as his number 10, and then Son, Kane, and Bergwijn as his three attacking players.
I see. So, yeah, no space for Lo Celso or Winks in your starting lineup. It's quite interesting. I think he might go something similar to what he's done in the last couple of games. But
I totally agree with what you're saying. I think the issue he's got is he needs to rotate players, and not even because of who deserves to play, but I think he'll be conscious of Ndombele and Alderweireld and kind of their happiness. And they're not bad players to come on, but I do understand what you're saying because Lo Celso, there's no way he deserves to be dropped.
Yeah, exactly. For Sheffield United, I was thinking quite a bit about this because they're really struggling for form, and I think when that happens, you've got to go with your best 11 no matter what, even though you've played them quite a bit. They've played a lot of minutes, but I'm going with a 5-3-2 formation, and I'm going Henderson in goal. Obviously, he will keep his place. The back five is going to be Baldock as wing back. I'm going to put Egan, Basham, and I'm going to put O'Connell. Hopefully, he's going to be fit for the game. So if he is, then he'll start. And I'm going Stevens as the other wing back. And midfield, John Lundstrom misses out for the shoulder injury. So Anderberg is going to come in and deputise. And then we've got Norwood and Fleck, who are the usual midfielders. And I'm going Billy Sharp up front, and I'm going McBurney. Right, I'm going to use their physical prowess to put the Tottenham defenders in as much trouble as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a shame for Robertson. I don't think he's played that badly, but I think if O'Connell's fit, he starts.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so let's go into some of the key battles or key strategies we think will likely occur during the Sheffield United Tottenham game. And I will start with Sheffield United first. And I think that attacking wise, it is going to be how well they exploit overlapping centre backs or say the overloading of each of the Tottenham flanks. So I think if they can overload Ben Davis and Son Heung-min down their right, or Aurier and Bergwijn on the left, because McBurney, Billy Sharp, and they'll probably attack with John Fleck as a three into the box. They're very good at making those runs and being very physical. And I think the Tottenham defenders, Sanchez, and we said that Alderweireld will come in and maybe might not be so solid the first game. They can exploit smart runs to the front post or the back post, and they'll attack as a three. So can they really get the quality crosses by overloading both flanks of Tottenham? And I think that's going to be very key for us to see.
I do wonder if Tottenham might employ a similar tactics that they employed against Manchester United, where you saw Bergwijn drop so deep. It was essentially a back five with Aurier coming in and being more of a right-sided centre-back than a right wing-back.
Right, okay.
Well, because Bergwijn and Son, they are hard workers. So it'd be quite interesting to see what Mourinho does to try and counter the overloading of the flanks that Sheffield United do. For Tottenham, I think the main thing is going to be how Kane and Ali try and find space and try to create chances against the back three. And you've also got the midfield who provide a lot of protection for the back three.
Right, right, yeah. It's a bit fascinating to see because for long periods, Sheffield United will defend with a back five and a three in front. So it'll be interesting to see how Tottenham breaks that team down as well.
Well, that's why, as part of the lineup, there was two reasons. One, we have a player capable of unlocking defenses in Ndombele, and as I said previously, he hasn't played a single minute for the last two games, and I imagine three games in a row there'll be questions start to be asked from him as why aren't I playing? So this might be a really good moment for him, and Mourinho might throw him in and say, "This is your time. Show me what you can do."
Yeah.
So we've given you all the information you need. You've got every little detail to make an educated decision. With that in mind, Gary, what's the score going to be?
I'm gonna make an uneducated decision, and I'm gonna hope for a nil-nil. I actually think it's gonna be a nil-nil somehow. And I hope for as many red cards as possible for Tottenham. Suspensions for Sheffield United as well, so Arsenal can get through. Now, I do think it's going to be nil-nil. I think Sheffield United will really, really, really focus on their defensive structure and making sure they do not concede a goal. And I think it's going to be a very frustrating game for Tottenham. It's going to be difficult to break them down, but both teams will be dangerous. Sheffield United they know they can create chances from crosses and set pieces. So they got to be patient, but I don't think either teams are going to score.
I'm going in the complete opposite direction. I think it's going to be 3-1 Tottenham.
Wow. Okay.
I think, well, I can't do a prediction without at least Tottenham conceding one goal. Um, I think Sheffield United will be quite tired. They don't look the same unit and the same side that they were before the break. I think they'll be very tired from playing three games in 2 weeks. Tottenham obviously had a rest over the weekend, so they'll be a lot more rested. I think we'll probably see a lot of goals in the later stage of the game.
Okay. Okay. That's our score predictions. Let us know what your score predictions are and your predicted lineups in the comments below.